Hello, I do believe it's this Mr. Ramy Badrie, I do believe.
Yes, Chair. Thank you very much. Thank you, councillors, as well.
Welcome to the Housing Committee, and thank you for joining us. So you have introduced yourself. You're Mr. Ramy Badrie, and you are representing the University of Brighton Students Union. Is that correct?
Yes, Chair, that is correct. Thank you.
Thank you. If you now would like to begin to present your deputation, you have no more than 5 minutes in which to speak. You may begin now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you, councillors. As our deputation mentions, obviously, I work for the University of Brighton Students Union, and as a youth students union, our priority always is first and foremost, obviously, to represent our students. There has possibly not been a time more than now where compassion is needed, and our campaign is based on around rent liability, which has become a dominant factor and issue facing our students, the nearly 20,000 that we represent. So we have started a housing campaign throughout the local community. And what our housing campaign calls for is based on a very simple fundamental notion, which is we are asking landlords and third-party private student accommodation providers to show flexibility in residential contracts and to offer the option of a no-penalty release to students from their contracts. Now, when COVID-19 first started and the University of Brighton closed physically its campuses and moved to online learning, many of our students returned home for various reasons. We have a great deal of international students, who are about 10% of our population, who returned home because they did not know when they would actually be able to return home had they not returned at that point. Likewise, a great number of our students have returned home to take up caring responsibilities. A lot are working with the NHS as volunteers. Others are self-isolating with their families. And since returning home, many of them have stayed there, adhering to government advice and guidance. However, what's ended up happening in that situation is now they are being asked to pay rent on properties that they no longer occupy. We also know from fact that a lot of our students are very much struggling at the moment because they have lost great sources of income, since many of their contracts were 0-hours contracts, and also they were vocational jobs. So what our campaign is calling for fundamentally is asking landlords and private third-party providers to offer the option for those residents and student tenants that wish to do so, offering them the option of a no penalty release from their contracts. We are also asking them to show flexibility by effectively subsidizing or waiving rent for those that have been detrimentally impacted and are still residing within their properties. Since launching this campaign, we have gained the support of local MPs and MPs across the country, and we obviously realize the complexities of the situation. We realize that both a local and a national intervention is needed. We obviously know that within the local community at the moment, only voluntary rent controls are possible. And obviously we recognize the complexities of calling for blanket policies. But first and foremost, what we were asking for is actually flexibility from landlords, and to show that within the way that they treat our tenants. The vast majority of landlords that we have contacted have not responded at all, or have not responded positively. And just like any other business that has made adjustments, we have not seen the private student accommodation sector make any of those adjustments. At the moment, our students are absorbing these costs very unfairly, we feel. Once again, a lot of them have very complicated personal situations, are now supporting their families, do not have a source of income. And while they are receiving their student loans, we know that for a lot of that, the extra income they get from the jobs that no longer exist will not enable them to top up that income to pay their rent. So they are left in a very precarious situation. And so fundamentally, we feel and we hope that they can exercise and feel a duty of care towards our students, which at the moment is not being shown. We also know that in line with Unite and Liberty Living's announcement, it's very well in the powers of landlords to enact this. So we are calling and hoping voluntarily that they would. And we would ask for your support in joining us in directly lobbying landlords within the local community to offer that option of a no penalty release, and also to effectively waive or subsidize rent for those that have been detrimentally impacted. Once again, we do appreciate the complexities, and we are likewise lobbying on a national scale. Since launching this campaign, we have been very grateful for the support that we have seen from councillors, from MPs, and first and foremost from our students, who inspire us every single day. And we have a collective duty really to respond to those concerns and to address them. And once again, it would be very valuable for our students to also know what services are available from the council specifically in this matter, as this has been a recurring question for us as well. We do hope you can join us in supporting the principles that underlie our campaign and the issues that they address. And we would obviously note that a lot of the issues that are unearthed here are not unique to the trying times that we find ourselves in. Rather, they're exacerbated by these trying times, but compassion is needed. And at the moment, we are not seeing it. While we have seen positive responses from some landlords who have either completely waived rent or subsidized it effectively, or released, and a great deal have also released their students. This has not been across the board, and there's been an ad hoc approach. We obviously recognize that buy-to-let landlords are able to acquire a mortgage holiday. We realize that this is not across the board. So again, likewise, we are lobbying for national intervention, but we hope we can work collectively with yourselves, local authorities, and the government to really find an effective solution forward. And we hope you can join our call on directly lobbying landlords to this end. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, councillors. We very much appreciate the opportunity to speak to you about this matter.
Thank you very much. Very, very eloquently put, I may add. Thank you very much. As you all may be aware, I have acted on this issue as in a wider way for looking after our private rental sector tenants, which seem to have been forgotten by the government at the moment. I'm hoping that this may change. I have already issued an open letter to landlords locally asking exactly the same thing, that they be sympathetic, they negotiate and try to work together to resolve this and shoulder that burden together rather than separately. There are many private rented sector tenants who are really struggling right now, and we would like to offer our support, I'm sure, with them. There are, as Mr. Badrie points out, many good landlords who have actually been extremely sympathetic, and we applaud them. Okay, I have also written to the Secretary of State for Housing on behalf of the private rented sector tenants, asking just for that, for help for those people. And I have also, on behalf of the Student Union, written to the Shadow Minister for Education on your behalf, in particular highlighting the plight of students, and have very recently raised this with the Shadow Minister for Housing. So this is a very pertinent issue, and thank you for bringing it to us. And please, you know, I offer my support, and I'm sure that the committee will, but I'm going to invite the committee to make any comments on it as they wish. Thank you very much, Mr. Badrie, for bringing this to our attention. Does anybody have any comments to make? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Badrie, again, and we would be assured of our continued support in this matter.
Wishes to speak.
Oh, sorry, who wants to speak?
Martin Osborne, I believe, wishes to speak.
Okay, sorry, Councillor Osborne, of course you may speak, of course.
Can you hear me, just to check that my microphone's working again?
You, Councillor Osborne.
Yeah, I think the video's working, but yeah, we'll just go on. Yeah, so thanks, Ramy, for coming to along virtually to the meeting and presenting the deputation. And thanks, Jill, for the response as well. Certainly, we need to do a lot more in the private rented sector and engage with landlords more, possible rethink and different policies that we can use. But certainly, students are on the short end of a lot of what they have in the city in terms of they have unaffordable accommodation, low quality often at times, and often insecure. So the housing campaign and other campaigns like that are really important to hold us to account. We did actually respond on behalf of the Green Group in a letter last week, so we are all supportive of the housing campaign, and yeah, students have been a bit left out, and it's not really been enough clarity in terms of what the government are telling the landlords to do. So there is a very much ad hoc approach, as Ramy said, and there's some good examples. Obviously, there is some very good landlords who have been very flexible, but on the whole, I don't think that they've engaged as a group as well as they could have. We are certainly worried, going forward about like Section 21, and there's various other policies that probably need to change. Certainly, if students are maybe making or worried about particularly their accommodation. If they have stayed here, then they mightn't be willing to engage with their landlord. Maybe they're worried about revenge eviction coming later on in the year if they say that they want to have a waiver of their rent. So there's lots of complicated issues there that we do need to probably do a lot more on in terms of the council. But yeah, we really support it. Thanks for coming. Thanks for raising the issue. And there's a lot more work to be done in the future that we will hopefully work together with.
Thank you, Councillor Osborne. Do I have any more comments before we move on to the next item? Okay, thank you very much, Ramy, for bringing this to our attention, and we will continue with our support, no doubt. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor.
You're welcome.